Recording has started.
Chair Schmidt, would you like to introduce the meeting or do you want me to?
Go ahead, Ms. Lejay.
Okay.
Please do.
This is the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Complaint Committee of the City and County of San Francisco, hearing room 408, City Hall, 1 Dr. Carlton B. Goodlett Place, San Francisco, California. This is a regular meeting of the Complaint Committee. Today's date is August 15, and the time is 5:33 p.m. This is a remote access and/or in-person participation. The Sunshine Ordinance Task Force and its committees convene hybrid meetings that allow in-person attendance, in-person public comment, remote access for petitioners and respondents, and remote public comment via teleconference. The WebEx remote link login information is TINYURL:2CSMWY7. The password is Sunshine. The telephone call-in number is 415-655-0001, and the meeting ID is 2591-8736-815##. Press *3 to enter the speaker line. Shall we call do you want to read meeting decorum, Chair Schmidt?
Yes, I'll read that. Any member of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force may call for decorum due to the disorderly conduct of meeting participants. Persons who engage in threatening and/or menacing behavior may be asked to leave. Okay, number 1, please.
Item number 1, call to order, roll call, and agenda changes. Roll call. Member Wolf.
Present.
Member Wolf present. Member Stein.
Present.
Member Stein present. Member Chair Schmidt.
Present.
Chair Schmidt present. We have a quorum. Shall we discuss the agenda changes now that we want to make?
Sure. Anything that I'll just say that as far as I can see, the agenda changes would involve line 5, because that file apparently it looks like it includes documents that belong to line 6. And so number 5 is going to be an issue. Line 6, we'll have to figure out if we feel ready to rule on line 6, even though some of the line 6 documents are in line 5. Other than that, I don't know of any agenda changes to discuss.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'm just wondering if we should not identify where the end and the beginning, the end of 5 and the beginning of 6 in those documents are now, so that when we get there, we don't have to be fumbling around trying to find it.
I have no problem with that, but I'm not sure how you would want to do that. Do you want to wait till we get to line 5, or should we deal with it under agenda changes?
Well, is there a bright line as to where 5 ends and 6 begins, or are they all mixed up together at this point?
It looks like, from my reading, it looks like 95% of what's filed in 5 actually belongs to 6.
Can I throw in another thing that I noticed looking at 6, which is that I was really confused by the respondents' documents, which sometimes reference a completely different file number. The file 6 is 23024, but a lot of the response references file 23020. Seems to be responding to a different complaint. So I felt like both of those files were just extremely difficult to parse, and I wasn't sure that the respondents themselves knew what complaint they were responding to.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's an issue.
It seems like it's going to be sort of, I don't know, maybe we deal with these one at a time, and some of it's going to have to be delayed.
Okay.
And so I think we're going to be deciding to, I'm going to recommend we grant Maria Schulman's request to delay on her second case, 23028. And I guess why don't I just go ahead and see if the members would, I'll make a motion to continue to the call the chair number 232028 because of a problem with the documents on record and because Ms. Schulman has made that request.
I would second that if it needs seconded.
Okay, if you don't mind, Chair Schmidt, if we can take public comment on that continuance as well as any other agenda changes.
Yes, please.
Yes, if you'd like to make public comment on this issue, you can press *3 if you're on the telephone to raise your hand, or otherwise raise your hand through the application. I have one person with their hand raised at this time. I will unmute their line. Hello, caller. I've unmuted you. Mr. Kinya? Paul?
Oh, hi. Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yes, you had your hand raised. Did you want to make a comment?
Oh, I raised my hand much earlier than that. I'm very sorry. I can lower it right now.
No problem.
My
In the
case is
future,
not
if you'd
being.
like to make comments, just raise your hand and we will acknowledge you at the appropriate time.
I appreciate it. So my case is
I
not
will-
being delayed, right? Just to confirm.
We don't know yet.
Okay. All right. We'll decide once we get there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I do not have any additional parties for public comment at this time.
Okay, let's vote.
Member Schmidt,
Aye.
did we have a second on your?
Yes, I seconded it.
Okay, Laura. Member Stein.
Aye.
Member Stein, aye. Member Wolf.
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Moved by Member Schmidt, seconded, or moved by Chair Schmidt, seconded by Member Stein to continue the matter to the call of the chair, 23028, because of the problem with the documents on record.
Okay, I don't know if anyone wants to make any other agenda changes. I know we have an issue that involving the documents in the number 5 file. I would suggest we handle that when we get to number 6, because that will be the Paul Neha file. So unless anyone wants to do it differently, I would say let's go ahead to the next item.
Item number 2?
Yeah.
Item number 2, approval of the July 18, 2023 Complaint Committee meeting minutes.
Okay, any comments from members?
This is Member Stein. I just had one correction. I would approve the minutes, but with the following change on page 4, item 5, under action, there's a phrase 3 lines down that says responded to timely. And I think it should say was responded to in a timely fashion.
I'm sorry, where was that?
Page 4,
Right?
item 5, under the bold section action,
Oh, under the motion.
3rd line down.
Yeah. Respond timely.
I would say was responded to in a timely fashion.
Okay, got it.
Okay. With that change, and it seems that that is the only change that we've come up with, I would move to approve.
Second.
Public comment, please.
Yes, before I proceed with public comment, excuse me one moment. We have somebody, Rosa has just sent a message, which we usually don't respond to, but she can't hear us, so I'm just typing her a quick message, just so she know we are live.
Thank you, Victor.
So Rosa can't hear us for now. Okay, if anybody would like to make public comment at this time, you can raise your hand by pressing *3, or otherwise using the application to raise your hand. I'll give everyone a moment. Okay, I have not seen anybody indicating they would like to make public comment at this time.
Okay, let's vote, and then I'll ask a question of you, Victor, but the vote first.
Member Stein.
Aye.
Member Stein, aye. Member Wolf.
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Chair Schmidt.
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Moved by Member Stein, seconded by Member Wolf to adopt the changes of the minutes of July 18.
Actually, I was a moving party.
You were?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's all right. Okay, Victor, you said there was a message that you got.
It has been resolved. Rosa L, who is with us today, was unable to hear us, but she has rectified that situation on her side.
It's rectified. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. Let's move to the next item.
Item number 3, public comment. Members of the public may address the committee on matters that are within the committee's jurisdiction but not on today's agenda.
If there's anybody who would like to make general public comment at this time, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 if you're on the telephone. If you're using the application, you can use the application to raise your hand at this time if you'd like to make public comment. I am not seeing any hands raised at this time.
Okay, thank you. Let's move to the next item.
Item number 4.
Yeah.
Item number 4, file number 23027, complaint filed by Maria Schulman against the Department of Police Accountability for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6725 by failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request in a timely and or complete manner. 6726 by failing to keep withholding to a minimum. 6727 by failing to provide justification for withholding.
All right. The procedures today for these petitions are going to be, we will hear first from each side of the dispute, up to 3 minutes first from the petitioner's side, and then up to 3 minutes from the respondent side. After that, we will allow for questions from the members of the committee to any parties or witnesses. And then after that question and answer period, the members shall meet and decide what to do with such case. We do not make any final decisions here. This is a committee. The most that we do, we may make recommendations. We generally look at whether a case is ready to be considered and ruled upon by the full task force at a full task force hearing. And we decide generally if a matter involves public documents, public meetings, or not, and if the task force has jurisdiction. All right. That being said, we will start with the Shulman matter 23027. And when Cheryl's ready, we will start with the first 3-minute presentation.
Yes, if you are a party to this matter, it would be appreciated if you can raise your hand at this time. If you're on the telephone, you can press *3. And if you're using the application, you can use the application to raise your hand. I believe I have unmuted the representative from the Police Accountability, Sarah Monder. I do not see any indication that Maria Shulman is with us at this time.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I can check our unknown lines just to be sure there's no issue.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Hello, caller. I've unmuted you. I just wanted to know which item you're here for. Hello, caller. I've unmuted you. I just want to know which item you're here for. Okay, let me check a different line. Hello, caller. I've just unmuted you. I was wondering which item you're here for.
Lieutenant Toomey representing the police department, not this matter.
Okay, thank you very much. I do not believe Ms. Shulman is with us.
Okay. I know she had some requests to not have her matters heard until 6. But I have no reason to think that that's why she's not here today. I am open to hearing from her if she does appear while we're still here in the room and online. But it seems to me that we should dismiss the matter. I know that she's probably not going to want it to remain dismissed, but that is generally what we do when the petitioner doesn't show up. Members, any other ideas on how you think we should handle this one?
I mean, we could just temporarily move it to the end of the petitions, and if she's here by then, hear it, and if not, then dismiss it. I don't know if that's any harder or easier, but
let's do that. We have a short calendar tonight, and I think, well, let's see. I guess my only concern would be that Ms. Monder, are you just here for this matter, or are you here for any of the other cases today?
Hi, yes, I am here only for this matter, and I do believe this is the second time Ms. Shulman has not shown up for this hearing.
we can move it one back so that it's after 6 o'clock. And if she's not here, then dismiss it.
Yeah.
Instead of moving it to the end of the calendar.
I think that's a great idea. Ms. Maunder, I do want to respect your time. We're going to hear one matter. We're going to call this Shulman matter again. We're going to hear the Neha case. And after that, we'll call the Shulman matter. And if she doesn't appear, we're going to dismiss it. Or I will move to dismiss. Okay, so let's hold off on Shulman and let's call 5 has been already continued. Let's call 6.
Item number 6, file number 23024, complaint filed by Paul Neha against the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6725 by failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request in a timely and or complete manner.
All right, this is the point in time where I think before we hear from the parties, we decide if there's any special way we want to handle this, because the documents involving Paul Neha's petition, some of them are contained accurately in connection to the number 6 file number 23024, but others were misfiled and submitted with the above file 23028 Shulman number 5. So technically, someone who were to look at the agenda, want to know what's his case about, what are the documents, they would not have known to look up to the number 5. I don't know if that's something that we need to take into serious consideration, because we all did see the documents that are contained at both 6 and 5 pertaining to Paul Neha. Members, do you have any thoughts as to if we should handle this other than just going ahead and hear it just as if the 6 and 5 documents are just before us here today?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So I think we just need to make sure that if all the documents, if it's a complete file or not.
Yeah.
I also wanted to clarify, like, I just was not clear what complaint this file was referencing, because the petitioner talks about a request 23-431, but the respondent talks about a different request, 23-78. And so I have to say I was very confused. I don't know that I would be able to like organize my thoughts based on what I read, even if we had presentations now. So I really want to clarify like which request this complaint relates to, which request number, and just make sure that the respondents and the petitioners are on the same page.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. The first question I'm going to have, and this is not, this is sort of preliminary, and so we're not going into our sort of hearing process, the presentations and questions. But a question to Paul Neha, which is, do you have multiple complaints or petitions that are pending before the task force?
Yes, I believe I do.
Could you tell us how many?
I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you that this case is basically we heard one of my cases against SFMTA has been heard a couple of months ago, and this was, I believe, they were supposed to go on the same hearing, but because I exceeded the limit of cases that could go on one hearing, I was postponed to be heard at another time. So the response that you see in in the file documents is actually for another case that has been heard at the previous hearing.
Okay, that last, I thank you for all of that. The last thing you just said is that some of what we looked at here today in the file documents actually pertains to that other matter.
That's
Is that
right.
correct? Okay.
That's correct.
Which of the documents, if you can identify where they're contained in our record, which documents pertain to that other case?
Let me go to the PDF file and look for it, but it basically, everything that has to do with the response from SFMTA to my allegation is related to another case.
Okay.
So, I don't know. So if it's any easier, the case that I was hoping to present today is for request 23-431. That's relates to Leanne Nunn. And the case that was already heard in the past, and the case that also is provided in the response from the SFMTA is related to the case that has been heard in the past, and that one is against Hank Wilson. So anything that you see with Hank Wilson is related to another case that already has been heard and actually has been scheduled for full committee review or moved to the full committee review. And this is the brand new case. Leanne Nunn, the case about her has not been heard yet.
Okay. And do you see in the files that we have established for today's hearing, do you see all the documents that you believe pertain to the second matter that is before us here today? The matter that wasn't previously dealt with, but the one that you want us to look at today.
So all of the documents that I submitted, supporting documents, I believe are there. That's
Okay.
the original request and communication. There's no response from SFMTA regarding this case, and instead there's a response to a different case.
They responded to, you're saying they responded to a separate matter when
Exactly.
they submitted a response today.
That's right.
Do you know, and I'll give the other side a chance to discuss this also. I'm not trying to isolate here. Do you know why, before I ask them, why they would submit a response to something else? I don't know if you know why. I'm just wondering if you know why they would do that.
I'm only speculating here, but they possibly were trying to write something that they didn't want the members of the task force to hear.
Okay.
I don't have any other reason.
Okay. Now I'll ask the representative for the police department. Could you?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not the police. It's SFMTA.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I've got that one on the next one. The representative for Muni, is there anything you could tell us to try to help straighten this out?
Am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Hi. Good evening. My
Hello.
name is Leanne Nunn, Chief of Staff for the Streets Division at the SFMTA. I did respond to the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force to this complaint. And I believe Hank Wilson also responded to the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force for the previous complaint.
Okay. Do you see your response in the file that was set up here for us to access here today?
I apologize. I don't seem to have access to those files.
Okay. So I'll go back to Paul Neha. I think she did submit. She just told us she submitted a response on today's matter. are you saying that it didn't make it into the file, the response that we should have had put into this file? That's a question to Paul.
Give me a moment. I think when people are muting
Thanks.
themselves, they're losing control. So if you just go ahead and leave your microphones unmuted, it will make it a little bit easier.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it, Victor. Yes, I don't believe I see the response. I'm not sure why it is not in the packet. So there may be two reasons. One, SFMTA either send their own documents in response to this, or they send in the right document, but somehow it didn't make into the package of the documents.
Okay, members, does that seem accurate that there's no response that seems to have come into the file, have been put into the file on this specific matter?
This is Member Stein. That seems accurate to me, and I'm just wondering if I'm not sure who would have received the file, if that would be Cheryl Leger or somebody else received it if she was on vacation. I wonder if there's a way for us to check that we received it. I don't know if we can do that in real time, but I don't think it was in the file.
Okay.
I didn't see anything that pertained. It was all referencing another request by number and by content. So
Yes. Ms. Leger, does any of this do you have any recollection that could enlighten us on what happened with this?
Well, what I thought were responsive records, I'm learning are not responsive records.
yeah, I'm just wondering if you have like an email where they sent their main response letter.
Yeah, that would be the Leanne's.
Leanne Non.
Yeah, Leanne Non. Sorry,
I'm looking for an email from Leanne Non. Most of my communications are with Caroline Celaya.
Oh, then it would be from Caroline Celaya probably because that was who
Attached
but it
with
would
the
be referencing request 23431 to do with communication between Mr. Neha and Leon Non, as opposed to
all right. The number
between,
that I have is
communication with Hank Wilson. It's not about communication with Hank Wilson. It's about communication from Leon Non. But I would say regardless, I mean, we have to see if we have this and be able to put it into the file or whether we still need it. But I think regardless, I don't know how we can review the file without the correct response.
Yeah, I'm inclined to have to unfortunately put this over because it looks like I have no reason to doubt that the respondents did submit a response, and yet it didn't make it into the file. And so I think we need to have that ready. If I guess with that having happened, and also with a bunch of NEHA documents having been submitted somehow in connection with the Maria Schulman case, unfortunately, I think the best thing for us to do is I'd like to have it done next month, but I'd like to make a motion that we continue the NEHA matter until hopefully next month, as soon as we can get it back on.
I would second that motion. This is for Stein.
Okay, I guess we're ready for a vote.
If you'd like to take public comment on the matter?
Yes, please.
Yes, if you'd like to make public comment on this matter, to continue the matter to the next meeting of the committee, Please raise your hand by pressing *3 if you're on the phone or otherwise using the application to raise your hand. Okay, I do not see any hands raised for public comment at this time.
Okay, let's hold the vote.
Mr. Kenya, I know you're raising and lowering your hand, but this is public comment and not meant for the parties.
Okay, thank you. So can I comment or not?
I will. Well, I'll tell you what. As a matter of discretion, very briefly, I'm sorry that we can't hear your matter today, but yeah, you can make a quick comment.
I just wanted to, based on my experience from the previous seeing those responses in the past, they are merely technicalities. They don't provide any substantial information. They just deny all allegations and restate everything that they stated originally. So the absence of that information, in my opinion, does not make this matter easier or harder to hear and understand. So I hope there's a reconsideration, since this has been going on since the beginning of the year. We're at 8 months since the original attempt.
I think we've got that. I don't agree or disagree with that, but thank you for your comment. But this is a matter of our need to give them a chance to respond, and so let's go ahead and let's vote on this. And unfortunately, we do need to move it back.
Ready for a vote?
Yes.
Chair Schmidt?
Yes. Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Member Stein?
Aye.
Member Stein, aye. Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Moved by Chair Schmidt, seconded by Member Stein to continue the action until next month.
Okay. Let's establish whether, for some reason, Ms. Schulman has appeared, and then we can dispose of her case if she is not. Victor, any sense that we now have Ms. Schulman on the line?
There she is.
She is currently present. I've just unmuted her.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we held off on. We were considering dismissing number 4, but we held it back for one hearing based on the very wise recommendation of Member Stein. And it appears that Ms. Schulman is now present. So we will hear this matter, number 4, and let's go ahead and when Cheryl's ready, we can start with the first, the petitioner's statement on the case.
How much time do we want to give Ms. Schulman?
Up to 3 minutes, please.
Okay. Ms. Schulman, are you ready to begin speaking?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so thanks for taking the time to consider this complaint. So some background on these vicious and dangerous dog hearings. They're held they were held in person in City Hall, and they were open to the public. They went remote once the pandemic started, and I'm starting to think that the DPA, the host and the arbitrator of these hearings, should have made it easier for the public to access these hearings during the time that they were remote. The DPA should have posted the hearing schedule online, and maybe it was a violation of the Sunshine Order and Ordinance for them not to have done this. So that's one thing that the task force might consider. But turning to the specifics of my complaint today, I requested records associated with a particular dog hearing, and the respondent first attempted to downgrade my request from an IDR on the basis that it was not simple, routine, or readily answerable. And then on March 3rd, 4 days later, the respondent claimed that there were no responsive records for this request and attempted to close it on the basis that the hearing I was inquiring about had been canceled. But even though this dog hearing that I was asking about never took place, there were records associated with the hearing that were already in existence at the time that I filed my request. Someone had called for the hearing formally. Some people had scheduled it. There was a formal written notice of the date of the hearing that had been provided to the dog owner. Some person or persons had determined that Diana Rosenstein should be the hearing officer for this hearing, even though normally the hearing officer is somebody else. Somebody had prepared a hearing case file, which you can see starting on page 73 of your packet. So all these records were already in existence and were in the DPA's possession when, on March 3rd, when Mr. James Conger claimed that his department had no responsive records. These dog hearings are supposed to be open to the public. So the case file, the statements of decision that get issued afterwards are also public record, and they should be obtainable through records requests without a lot of friction. Unfortunately, the respondent did not immediately release any of this to me initially. The respondent only provided some of these records after I followed up multiple times. I had to ask repeatedly for minimal and keyed redactions, and I believe the respondent still has failed to properly key their redactions and has failed to keep withholding to a minimum. The respondent also did not provide all the records for this request. They did not provide a particular email exchange between two DPA employees relating to the substitution of Diana Rosenstein as the hearing officer, even though I asked for this repeatedly. I think there may still be records missing.
Ms. Schulman, your time is up.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's hear from the respondent.
Okay, hang on a second. Ms. Mounder, are you ready to begin? I'm calling for Sarah Mounder.
There, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay.
we can.
Are
you ready to
for
be
the Department
speaking?
of Police Accountability? We don't have
Okay.
anything to add to the response letter that we sent. Just in summary, we are denying all of the allegations, and we object to the matter being forwarded to the full task force because we haven't been provided with a description of how we have violated the Sunshine Ordinance. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, members, any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, Member Wolf.
No, go ahead, Member Stein. Sound like you want to go first. Go ahead.
So I wanted to ask the petitioner, can you clarify for the respondent which petition is at issue here? Is it only the records related to the third vicious and dangerous dog hearing? It seemed like the respondent found the complaint vague and hard to respond to. They weren't sure which request you were referring to. Do you have a request number? Do you have anything you can add to clarifying which request you're talking about?
Not sure if we're having a technical problem, but we don't hear Ms. Schulman.
I believe she's muted.
Okay. Yeah, Ms. Schulman, I'm not sure if you muted yourself or Victor muted you. Okay.
She says she can't unmute.
Administrator Young, Ms. Schulman's having difficulty unmuting herself.
That's the only way I know.
You get more.
Yeah. Is Victor able to unmute it?
Administrator. Okay.
Hi. Thanks.
Yes, before you begin,
Can you hear me
please
now?
leave your microphones
Yes.
unmuted, because once you mute yourself, you lose control. So just
Can you hear me now?
participating.
Yes, we can hear you.
But just leave your
Yes.
microphone open, please.
Yeah. And so, I know that a few minutes went by, but at this point, it's the question from members.
Yeah, so I'll just repeat it very briefly. The respondents indicated in their response that they're not sure which request is the basis of this complaint. So I wanted to ask the petitioner if they can clarify for the respondent which petition is at issue here. My sense reading your case file or your case documents was that it's only the records related to the third vicious and dangerous dog hearing, but do you have any other clarification?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes. And we may have technical difficulties again here.
Administrator Young, I just see that Maria's leaving the meeting again to sign in.
Hello?
Okay.
Oh, Ms. Schulman,
Now
can we hear
do
you?
hear. Now we do hear someone. Is that Ms. Schulman?
We just lost Ms. Schulman.
Okay.
No, she was there a minute ago.
Okay.
She's not logged in at the moment. Give her a few moments to log back in. Okay, she is back.
Hold on, I can't hear anybody.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay.
And the question is to you about defining what 23027 is about.
So I'm really confused by the fact that the respondent is confused by that. I filed a records request, and the respondent attempted to conflate this IDR request with others that I made around the same time. But this Sunshine complaint is solely about this one request, which is the only request included in your packet. And it's on page 7 of your packet. It's an immediate disclosure request. I made it through Next Request.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had another question for you as the petitioner. Can you point us to redactions that you, it seems to me that in their reply that they're saying any redactions they've made, they're making because of personnel, medical, or similar files. Can you point to any redactions in the materials they provided that you feel were improper, don't fit that that justification?
Yeah, let me see. So yeah, these letters that were sent, these emails that were sent out on like February 6th. First the respondent had a lot of redactions, and then when I pushed back, they gave me fewer. But it's still, so for example, on page 51 of the handout or the packet, kind of halfway down the page, I could not stop crying as I explained that, and then it's all blacked out. And then on the following page, page 52, there's like a whole like sentence that's blacked out. I think that if you email a city official, like the email is public, and maybe you email the city official with a lot of like seeming like personal information, but it's not, these aren't just names or phone numbers. These are like details. And I think like maybe there's details about the dog's medical history that I don't think is really would fall under the, I just think it's an overly broad interpretation of privacy. On page 54, yeah, and I have the full unredacted document because another department gave me the whole thing. So if this moves forward, I'm happy to provide the whole document. You guys can compare.
Okay, and then you said you believe that you haven't received all of the documents still. You mentioned emails between two particular employees. Can you tell me, are there any other documents you believe you haven't received?
Yeah, I think that there might be more documents missing that are that's related to that email exchange. The respondent provided me those two emails later in response to another request. But again, I'm looking at this particular records request. First, the respondent said there was no responsive records, and then they said that the request was all closed and they had done everything. And then it turned out that there were these emails that I think should have been part of it.
Okay, and then I have a question for the respondent, which is, can you speak to this issue? Well, I mean, can you tell us, I guess, how you searched for emails that might be relevant to this request and how, why these emails were missed?
I can. I don't know that I would characterize them as missed, as we were providing emails on a rolling basis as they became available to the person who was collecting records. We had to pull our whole staff and search through everyone's email accounts and provided the emails as they became available. Some staff were out of office on vacation or on medical leave, and so we waited for them to come back to search for the emails in their accounts and provided them when they were available.
So was that still within the 10 days or was that
Yes.
later?
Correct, yeah, within 10 days.
So can I just ask the petitioner, were these emails, in your recollection, were they provided within the 10 days that had been stipulated by the DPA?
I mean, the ones that I'm talking about, like these two emails about who's going to be the hearing officer for this particular hearing that I was asking about, those were not provided in response to this request.
Okay.
So I would say no.
Okay. Those are all my questions.
All right. I myself don't have any questions. Yeah, Member Wolf, you're on.
Yeah. So this, when was the request actually made?
On February 28th.
Of 2023 or 2022? 2023. Okay, so good. Okay, so for the respondent, you cite in for the redactions, Government Code 6254C. That doesn't exist anymore. Can you, as of January 1st, can you cite exactly the correct section that for those redactions?
I wasn't aware of that, and I don't have that information available right now.
Okay, and the complaint also states that or claims that you didn't provide a keyed redaction. Is there any reason for not keying the redactions?
I believe it's because we use the same redaction code for each of the redactions, and so rather than doing the overlay type on every single redaction, I believe the attorney who responded simply sent a note saying that each redaction was keyed back to the same government code.
Okay, and were those documents provided for the record? I don't see them from the, I see some.
I'm sorry, I missed your question.
Yeah, I just was wondering if the redacted documents were included in the record. I see some that were included that you provided, but not that the complainant provided. So are those all the full gamut of them?
I believe we provided everything in response with the response to the complaint, a total of 92 pages. I couldn't say which one she's referring to, but I believe we submitted them with the response letter.
Okay, so I just want to ask about an example. So on it's PDF page 54 and a printed page 62. We can go to that real quick.
I see it.
Okay. And in the first paragraph, the can you tell me if the just categorically, what is the first redaction?
Oh, I may be on a different page because I don't see a redaction. Does it say page 530? 64? Sorry.
It's a 62 at the bottom.
62.
At the bottom of the printed page, which you see on the screen.
Okay, I'm going through the packet that
It's page 54 in the packet.
Page 54, but I don't see any. Maybe if you could give me a keyword to search, I can find it.
Well, the first sentence says the VDD hearings are a flawed process.
Okay.
Are you there?
Yes.
Okay, great. So there's just 1, 2, 3 redactions at the top there. Can you just categorically tell me what the first redaction is categorically? Is it a pronoun? Is it a name? Is it an address? What would fall under the code that you're citing?
I believe it's a name and possibly names of witnesses. However, I did not actually do these redactions.
Okay, and as far as like the second one, where it says whatever it is, have wasted valuable city resources and dedicated the last 4 years trying to cause pain to me and Pilot and recruiting to disturbed elderly, and then that's redacted. Are those pronouns? Are they actual names, or is it a description of people?
Generally, it's probably a description. Generally, we would redact information that would lead you to identify somebody who gave a statement for privacy reasons.
Okay, well, this is why. Okay, this is why the keyed redactions are important, because if the first redaction was in one category, but the second redaction was in a different category, even though you're citing the same code section for redaction, they are different redactions and can't be blanketed like that. So I wanted to first point that out. The second one is the complainant had suggested that you diminished her IDR to a simple 6721 request. How and why did you come to that conclusion?
Well, I wouldn't characterize it as diminishing. To qualify as an immediate disclosure request, the documents requested need to be simple and routine and readily available. And searching through emails of an entire staff is not a simple, routine, or readily available record request. And so what we do in those instances is respond to the requester explaining that we cannot provide records within 1 to 2 business days. And we let them know that we will provide records within the general 10-day time frame.
Okay, can you point me to where that is in the Sunshine Ordinance? Because I don't find it there.
It is. Admin code 67.25A.
Okay, and where in that paragraph?
I don't have it in front of me.
Okay. All right, thank you. And my next question is, the complainant also cited that you claimed a rule of reason. Can you explain what reason there is to invoke that?
Right. So the person working on the request invoked the rule of reason out of an abundance of caution because he was unsure how long it would take him to pull the entire staff for their email records. And I believe it's because people were out on leave during the time frame that would have required a response. It turned out that he invoked the rule of reason extension, and he didn't have to because he was able to provide all the documents within 10 days.
Okay. And my last question is how are dogs or pets' medical records regarded as far as confidentiality?
I couldn't comment on that.
Why not?
I haven't done any research on that topic.
Do you withhold medical records that you have in possession?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Thank you. That's all the questions I have, Mr. Chair.
All right. I have no further questions. And I do want to just tell Ms. Shulman that we called your case earlier, and then we also did continue the other case to a later date per your request. And so 028 is going to be done later. And so we're just doing 027 today. Members, do we have a motion? Seems like.
Mr. Chair, I have one last question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
For Ms. Shulman.
Please.
Ms. Shulman, you mentioned something around, I wanted to follow up on my last question with regards to medical records. Can you expand on your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at in the packet, starting on page 14 of the packet, and what is that, 22 of the printed out version. If you that's the next request, and if you look and you read backward, like from the bottom, and then scroll up, like you can see my conversation with the respondent, Mr. Conger, who was handling this at the time. And he, like, first he says, I don't have any responsive records. And then I keep kind of pushing back and asking for more minimal redactions. And at one point he says, like, on page 12 of the PDF, I have attached the email and I've unredacted several portions now that I have had time to discuss and review what has already been made public from the hearings, pilot's medical records, SPCA involvement, hearing information, etc. Yeah, so it seems like the person who did the redactions was first, like, overly cautious and redacted dog medical records, and then also like the name of this SPCA officer, who I don't know who it is, but allegedly they like did something bad to this dog. And then if you keep scrolling up, you can see like my whole argument, and you can also see them invoking the rule of reason. And
Yeah,
I
I,
think
would-
I
I
think
don't,
the
I
reason
don't
is
necessarily
slightly
want,
different.
I wasn't asking about that part.
Oh,
I was
okay.
more concerned, I thought I heard you say something that maybe that medical records should not be released. Did you say something like that?
No, I think that um the information about like the dog's specific ailments shouldn't have been redacted initially.
Oh, should,
And there are other redactions that I also would question.
okay, it's just a clarification on my part. Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Nothing further, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have a motion? Should we move this on to the full task force?
This is Member Stein. I'll make a motion to forward this to the full task force because it's public records under our jurisdiction. I don't want to send any recommendation with that, but just that it moved to the full task force. Separately, I also want to just request that Ms. Schulman, if she has unredacted records that she received or records that she received in relation to another request that would have been germane to this one, that she consider adding these to the packet so that we can get a sense of what was redacted and whether it should have been, and also understand, like, see what records weren't provided in response to this request. But that's just a request to Ms. Schulman to make the packet more complete from your end. But so my recommendation or motion is just to move to the full task force with no recommendation.
I'll second.
Jurisdiction?
Yeah, say it's under our jurisdiction. We have their public records under our jurisdiction, and we would like it to go to the full task force with no recommendation.
Okay, any public comment?
Yes, if you'd like to make public comment on this matter, if you're on the phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *3. If you're using the application, you can use it to raise your hand. I'll give everyone a few moments. I do not see any hands raised at this time.
All right, we're ready for a vote.
Member Wolf, you seconded this motion?
Mhm.
Okay. Member Stein?
Aye.
Member Stein, aye. Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Chair Schmidt?
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Moved by Member Stein, seconded by Member Wolf to find that the records are public, there is jurisdiction, and recommend and make no recommendation to the task force, and request that Ms. Schulman provide records that she has received that could be germane and should have been, and ask that she make a packet more complete. Close to it?
It was actually hard to hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The last sentence or two, I just couldn't quite hear it. But
Let's see.
I don't think that needs to be in the recommendation. That was just my communication to Ms. Schulman, the last piece of what I
Okay.
think she should include to help make her case.
To the task force.
And also help make a more complete file for the
Yeah.
rest of the task force.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So when you get that all set up, Cheryl, we can move on to the next item. 23048 is next.
Second.
Sure.
Item number 7?
Yes, 7.
Yeah. Item number 7, file number 23048, complaint filed by Rosa L. Against the police department for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6721 by failing to respond to a records request in a timely and or complete manner.
All right. So we will hear first any kind of statement made by the petitioner. We already have the documents that are in the file. We've already looked at those. So if there's anything you want to add, et cetera. But when Cheryl's ready, you'll have up to 3 minutes.
Is the petitioner ready to speak? Rosa L?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, are you ready to begin, ma'am?
Yes. So yeah, I filed a request on December 27th, 2022 for body cam footage from encampment resolutions by SFPD, and there has been no records released. So I filed a complaint. There were reminders to SFPD several times. You can see them in April and May and June and July. At some point, they tried to clarify the definition of an encampment resolution, which is very confusing because it's a term that is used by the agency. It's a term that's used currently in a active lawsuit against the city. So yeah, as far as I can tell, the agency is simply failing to reply to this request. That's all.
Okay, thank you. And Cheryl, when you're ready, we can hear next from the police department.
A representative from the police department ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this Mr. Toomey?
Yes, it is. Lieutenant Toomey, but
Oh, sorry, Lieutenant.
don't worry about the
Toomey.
title. Thank you. No,
Okay.
do
Are you
not
ready
worry
to
about the
begin,
title.
sir?
Thank you, Cheryl.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
All right. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening. I think that this entire file really does revolve around what the complainant had mentioned, which is the clarification of what encampment resolutions is. When requesting information from the police department, specifically body-worn camera footage, there was we had sent two requests that they please define what that is. It's difficult when you use something in terms of encampment resolution as a blanket term. It's not a phrase that is used in our documentation when charging crimes per se. It's not a crime that we can search. It is not a tag that is used like citation or arrest. So we were attempting to make some communication with the complainant as to exactly what they meant and with their request. The types of things that can help that are location. If it's a particular location that they're looking for, we can start kind of narrowing down enforcement in a particular location. There was communication, and they were able to provide some information with regards to a timeline. So we did get to a narrowed timeline, but we still continue to try to get some information with regards to what the term encampment resolution meant. Our last communication regarding that was on February 27th, and we asked them to reply by the 10th of March. When we did not receive any further communication to help clarify and organize and focus the request was closed. And then we have since been notified by the task force of this hearing. So I think that the police department did our due diligence in attempting to keep a communication between the complainant, requesting some clarifying so that we could focus and see what documents they were looking for so that they could be specific. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
All right, thank you. Members, questions? Member Wolf, any questions?
I mean, just to the petitioner, can you clarify what you mean by an encampment resolution? Is that a specific term that you're aware of, that the police should be aware of, or is it your own term?
Hi, great question. This is, I'm pretty baffled, to be honest, by that response by the SFPD. So I have been doing public records requests for several years in the city, and mostly focused around HSOC. HSOC stands for the Healthy Streets Operations Center, of which SFPD is a partner. It is a coalition of SFPD departments. And HSOC, which is run out of the Department of Emergency Management, has a schedule of encampment resolutions. It's what they call it. City calls it. They have schedules that they put out to the different agencies through which they coordinate encampment resolutions, which means they go to encampments of homeless people and they ostensibly clean and or relocate depending on the state of the city's laws at the time. SFPD is partnered with them. They are succeeding in all this. They have encampment resolutions. I know this, the encampment resolution schedules. I know this because I have gotten them from the department in previous requests. Also, again, the city is being sued by the Coalition on Homelessness, the Lawyers Committee, and the ACLU, and references to encampment resolutions are throughout that lawsuit. The lawsuit actually references records requests of mine that I have made to this to SFPD and other departments. So I just want to start there. The idea that we don't know what an encampment resolution is.
So just so that I'm clear in my understanding, Department of Emergency Management has documents classified or categorized as quote unquote encampment resolutions. Is that correct?
They have documents that refer to encampment resolutions, yes. So does the SFPD.
I'm sorry. What do you mean by referred to? I'm asking if that's like a specific category, like that can be searched. Like if I went to Department of Emergency Management, I asked them for encampment resolutions, they would know exactly what I'm talking about.
They would know. So encampment resolutions are the act. They are the act of resolving an encampment. So there are schedules, encampment resolution schedules, and encampment resolution reports, and things like that. Those are real documents that exist. And they have the words.
And they have the words encampment resolution on those documents.
Let me double check if they have them on the document. At any rate, if I can. I don't know how to get you documents right now. If that's
no, you don't have to. I'm just trying to ascertain whether it's a conceptual term that you're using or whether it's an actual term that's printed on government documents.
I'm looking at an SFPD government document right now on their website that uses the term encampment resolution.
Okay, are they similar to the documents in question that you're asking of the PD?
I am asking for body cam footage of police officers that attend encampment resolutions. So it's not a physical document. It's a body cam footage. Yes.
Okay. All right. So Lieutenant Toomey, let me ask you: Are you familiar with this term?
I'm familiar with the term as it's used to describe, and maybe I'm gonna take a step back just for one moment before I answer that. In the state that you'll notice the details that we needed were a homeless encampment resolution. I know it seems like it's semantics, but the organized HSOC ones in which we go out together, or is it just an officer walking down the street handling a particular homeless encampment that happens to be going on? So is it the request was, and the idea for the open communication was to get specific as to, do you have like an idea of when these events actually happened, and then we can get you those? Or was it, do you need us to start searching high and dry for any time any police officer made any contact with anybody that's in an encampment and provide that data or that BWC footage?
Okay,
so that was our.
I'm just wondering if this is just a kind of a semantic, kind of misunderstanding on semantics of the use of the word, and you actually have the documents, but you need more clarification. Maybe we can resolve the issue here.
Yes.
So that the petitioner can get the documents that they need.
So that's the entire part of our communication and trying to get an idea was we need a little bit more clarity as to exactly which events you want body-worn camera footage for. Because if we have them, we'll give them, but we couldn't figure out just with the term encampment resolution. If they want to say organized encampment resolutions in conjunction with
let's
that gives us.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Just in the interest of time,
no,
let's let the petitioner.
Yep.
Let's let the petitioner answer the question, so we can get some clarity and move this along. Okay, Rosa L., could you please respond?
Yes, this is relevant to the question, so I'm gonna say this part first. The request states the date range from the get-go. So the characterization that I requested, frankly, the characterization of this request by the SFPD representative has been incorrect in several ways. I specified the date range from the first request, and then I later changed that date range. It was not like I didn't specify a date range and then they asked me to, and then I did. That was the characterization by the SFPD officer. That's not what happened. Furthermore, nobody told me this request was closed. It does not say it's closed in the messages that you have in your packet. There have been reminders to SFPD, again, April, May, June, July, August of this year with no responses from them saying it was closed, saying any of that, right? So this characterization is truly bizarre. And the idea that there are multiple definitions of encampment resolutions is also bizarre. That phrase is used in one clear way by the city. The idea that there are all these different ways that it's used and I did not specify the correct one is clearly obfuscation. And yeah.
Okay, very good. So Lieutenant Toomey, is there really a difference between homeless encampment resolutions and encampment resolutions?
No, I think that I apologize if that wasn't clear. It was that a encampment resolution, there is a difference between, or we were looking for specifics of, were they looking for something that was an organized event by the city, or was it just an officer who's walking down the street on their assignment who makes an interaction with a homeless person or unhoused person and tries to take some type of resolution with regards to that encampment. It is a term that describes an event, but it's not specific enough as to be able to identify all of the records that the requester wanted or specifically wanted.
Maybe they wanted all of them and didn't need to be specific.
And that in that case, it would be a pretty overly broad. We would have a difficult time trying to ascertain all of the documents that we have that engage an officer dealing with somebody in a tent.
They're not asking for documents.
I'm sorry?
They're not asking for documents. They're asking for footage.
Correct. Which, I apologize. I've referenced the footage as being BWC. BWC is an electronic document. My apologies for the terminology then.
Okay.
The manner in which we would search for that footage, it would be, we would have to search every piece of footage to determine if it was something. We don't have a mechanism to say, search for encampment enforcement in this video to see if that video then applies to this records request. We don't have that means. Does that make sense?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, I don't want to belabor this point too much more. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for your indulgence.
May I respond?
I'm going to ask you a question. This is Chair Schmidt. When you made the request here, were you thinking you wanted anything that could be defined in any sort of in a broad under a broad definition as relating to any resolution of an encampment in that time period?
That's a great question. Can you hear me okay still?
Yes.
Okay, the question is answered in sentence 1 of my request, which says, please provide all body cam footage from all encampment resolutions, and then in parentheses, planned or unplanned, taking place December 2nd, 2022, and December 22nd through December 27th, 2022. That's 7 days total, planned or unplanned. In my opinion, that's pretty clear. And the SFPD representative apparently missed this is a very short request.
So when you wrote your request, it wasn't your intention to limit your request to HSOC formally titled encampment resolutions. Is that correct?
HSOC.
Formally titled, I'll call them encampment resolutions, where that term shows up on paper as a formal encampment resolution.
Encampment resolutions are documented whether they are planned or unplanned, scheduled or unscheduled. The idea of keeping it this broad was that I wanted footage of those resolutions, whether or not they were planned. In other words, whether or not they were scheduled ahead of time. If the department thought that was overly broad, they could have told me that and I could have narrowed it down. But that's not what happened.
Okay. So does that, to the respondent, does that somewhat give you an answer to the question you have had about scope, that this is not limited to formally titled encampment resolutions?
Yes, and I think that those types of answers were what we were attempting in the communications that we had prior to this.
Got it. Yes, and yeah, it's a interesting. I'll call it interesting animal. The term encampment resolutions, because it can be used in at least two different ways, and so there is some ambiguity as to what it could refer to or not refer to. I think, it's an honest ambiguity, I'll call it. Okay, that's the only question I have. Members, before we determine what to do with this, any other questions?
This is Member Stein. I just have a question for the petitioner. I just want to make sure everyone is super clear, because it seems like encampment resolution is itself a bit of a euphemism. So are you talking about any time, one or more tents or their occupants are cleared from an area, or are you talking about other kinds of activities as well?
It's hard for me. It's hard to respond because the SFPD representative keeps saying things that are not true. So it's throwing me off course. They asked for a clarification of the term, and I responded to that. They kind of implied that that we didn't have a back and forth, but we did. It's in the packet. Again, I'm really confused because there are some really basic facts and sentences in this packet that seem to be totally ignored. So on April 12th, I responded. I said, "Hi, encampment resolution is a term used by the city, including SFPD. Please proceed using the definition your agency uses." And then I linked to a PDF from the San Francisco Police website with a presentation referring to that term. And so I deferred to them to define the term and provide me with responses based on that, because asking me to define it is a recipe for continued obfuscation. It's a term that the city uses to refer to, yes, when they clean homeless encampments and often displace people or remove tents. That's my language, but I know that they would argue back and forth about that. So I said, hey, and using your own terminology, when you go out and do these resolutions and you talk about them, you create documents about them, you report about them, you track them, right? There's a 311 system that used to track encampment resolutions. I don't know if it still does. Use that definition and provide me this. And the fact that SFPD has responded to requests for encampment resolution documents in the past, which I could also provide, makes it clear that this is just a baffling response.
I mean, I don't think I saw, we don't always get the links or the links aren't live for us in our packet, so I didn't see the police document. And I don't have a sense if the police clearly define the term. And sometimes terms like this are, deliberately vague. So that's why I guess I'm asking you what it is that you really want to see. Now, maybe you can't, maybe you just want to leave it open, but I just thought it might be helpful if we knew that it's just like anytime anyone is displaced or removed or asked to leave, or, if that encompasses it, or if, coming and offering someone a service encompasses it, because it's an attempt to resolve camping.
Yeah, I would say that the intent was so HSOC, when HSOC engages in encampment resolutions, they say that they offer services. They go there with DPW to clean the encampment, and they go there with SFPD to enforce anti-camping laws or whatever other laws that they can enforce to displace people. So that's an event that happens. All of those things could happen at that event. And so, yeah, I wanted body cam footage from SFPD officers at any events where those things happen.
So it's really any interaction then with someone who is in an encampment or camping on those specific dates that you gave.
Not quite, because a resolution, again, is a collection of actions that happen. The intent is to go there to resolve the encampment. In other words, to remove the encampment and address the underlying issues of the encampment as the city sees them. So those issues may be that people need housing. They may be that people are breaking the law. They may be that people need some services or whatever, but they go out there with an intent to resolve it. They call them resolutions. That's different from, for example, someone walking by, whatever, a SFPD officer walking by and handing somebody a candy bar and then going about it. That's not a resolution. A resolution may, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies for me.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just have a quick question for Lieutenant Toomey. Are you aware? Let's compartmentalize this a little bit. Just to humor me for a moment.
Okay.
If you were to put a focus on HSOC and the word encampment resolution came up, would you know exactly what that means?
In respect to looking for events that were related to HSOC and encampment resolutions?
No, I'm talking about just knowledge of the activity of encampment resolution.
If the terminology HSOC was attached to encampment resolution, we would have a much more focused ability to know what may what is being requested.
So when representatives attend HSOC meetings and they talk about encampment resolution, do those representatives and everybody in the room know what the term means and what it refers to?
I believe they understand that it is the totality of attempting to help somebody that is unhoused.
Okay, but it's a common term.
It's a common term used to describe attempting to help an unhoused individual. Okay,
so I'm just trying to get to the idea here is whether there's familiarity with it, because if it's a common term that's used in HSOC, and HSOC is a collection of various representatives and departments, and they are filling out paperwork when they have these engagements and do this activity, then it somehow seems to be that there would be common knowledge, as being somewhat of a ubiquitous term. Is that right?
Yes, but when put into the light of HSOC, the question I think this completely revolves around with this encampment resolution idea is that it's not, encampment resolutions don't just occur under the guise of HSOC. An encampment resolution can truly be an officer walking down the street seeing somebody who is unhoused and attempting to provide them services. What if that officer does provide them services and they accept them? Have we not resolved the encampment? So that's the concern that we had right from the initial was if it was HSOC related activities, we could then focus on officers that are assigned to HSOC. We could focus on looking at HSOC calendars and activities. So if it was a specific request for HSOC activity, we would then be able to provide it. It was the request, the clarifying request that we had, which was, what exactly are you looking for with regards to encampment resolutions? Was it arrest of individuals? Like somebody who gets arrested, does that not resolve the encampment issue? So that's what we were trying to clarify, and we didn't receive any information. So in the eyes and the focus of HSOC, yes, we would be able to do a better job providing footage. But without that clarifying factor from the complainant, we weren't able to do that.
Okay, thank you. And nothing further, Mr. Chair.
Okay. To the quick question to the petitioner, what have you received in response to this request? Are you still waiting for anything, everything?
I have not received anything.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, yeah, this is a point in time where I think the members should be figuring out, do we send this on to the full task force? I think that maybe, assuming we're going to do that, maybe one way to start on responding to this request is there are some obvious documents that would respond, which is these HSOC encampment resolutions. So if there are ways to seek out footage, et cetera, where something has been already described as an encampment resolution, yes, that footage would be relevant to this request. And so I think that the petitioner here is entitled to get those, subject to whatever exemptions, if there are any. I don't know if there's anything complex about how we send this on. It does seem to me like maybe the police department could have gotten going on at least the obvious ones. And so it's possible that the task force would look at this and might consider that there might be some kind of a violation here. I do think we do seem to be looking at jurisdiction here and public documents. So members, I'm pretty open to how we
making a motion?
word. Well, I just thought I'd throw that out there because I want to give the other members a chance.
I would agree with you, Mr. Chair. The records are public. There was a request made. Records seem to have been either withheld or not delivered. I just think that it's within our jurisdiction. Let the task force have a crack at it.
Okay, so are you seconding or are you making?
We're having a discussion.
Yeah. Okay, I'll make the motion that we find that this matter involves public documents, that the task force does have jurisdiction, and that this matter be forwarded to for a full task force hearing regarding violations of 67.21. So that's my motion.
Second.
Public comment.
Yes, if there's anybody who would like to make public comment on this matter, you can raise your hand at this time by pressing *3, or otherwise using the application to raise your hand.
May I make a final comment or no?
I know you, as a party, you cannot.
I'm not seeing any hands raised at this time.
Okay, let's vote on that one.
Are we ready for a vote?
Yes, please.
Chair Schmidt?
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Member Stein?
Aye.
Member Stein, aye. Moved by Chair Schmidt, seconded by Member Wolf, that the matter involves public records, there is jurisdiction, and that this case be forwarded to the task force for hearing with a recommendation to find a violation of 6721. Did I get that?
Sounds good to me. Okay, let's go ahead and take up number 8, the last complaint of the day.
Item number 8, file number 23053, complaint filed by Sergei Zveranov against the police department for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6721B by failing to respond to a public records request in a timely and or complete manner.
Okay, when you're ready, Cheryl, we can hear from the complainant first, up to 3 minutes.
Mr. Zveranov, are you with us? Mr. Zveranov, can you let us know if you can hear us?
Yeah, I have some problem with connection.
We can hear you now.
Okay, but I have a little bit of a problem hearing you. Let me just try to change something here. 1 second.
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Oh, okay. So I have
Are you ready to
a
begin
little bit-
speaking, Mr. Zveranov? Can you hear us?
One second. I cannot hear what you just said. Just it was like very sort of distorted. Can you repeat what you just said?
No, I just wondered if you could hear us. I'm Administrator Leger in the hearing room, 408, City Hall. I was wondering if you could hear us. You said you're having difficulty?
Yeah. Okay. Now I hear you. Can hear you better. Yeah.
We're ready for
yeah.
you to make a up to 3 minute statement about the case.
Are you ready to make a
Okay.
statement, sir?
All right. So then, yeah, I can start with the statement. So,
All right.
this complaint is about SFPD refusing to release almost any records about the raid on my house at 2151 Grove Street, which occurred February 11, 2023, and which has involved dispatch of at least 7 police officers, as I found out. This was a retaliatory raid on my house, based on the words of the police officers who participated in it. A racist Lieutenant Toomey knows about this raid, and he is a sort of instigator and a motivator of this raid that occurred on my house after I have submitted prior complaints to this task force, prior complaints to 2014 to 2020, which were investigated by this task force. And in the retaliation, they raided my house, they entered it without permission, and they molested my daughter. So I have, SFPD did this, and I have filed a request for records. SFPD had refused to release almost any records so far. The only things that they have released is partial body camera footage. And I would like to refer you to the letter that the SFPD itself attached to this agenda. Their letter dated August 8, and it's on the pages 64 and 66. In this letter, they describe how they responded to my records request. Records request had around 30 items. They have, again, narrowed down interpretation of everything that I have asked for. In item 2, I have requested specific information about all records involving police units, and I have identified 6 police units about information about their participation in the raid on my house I received from the government of San Francisco. Now they have narrowed it down and said this is only information about the police officers in those units, and get them from the CADs and go to the emergency management. That's an unpermissible interpretation of my request. I requested all the records. They should do the search of the emails and all other databases and provide records. Now, the other thing is that they themselves identify in this letter is that they now require me to go or send them my ID. This is an permissible violation of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force. They said they keyed in 8 requests in their some information system.
Yes,
Mr. Smirnov, your time is up.
Yeah. Thank you. We can hear from the respondent now.
Thank you. Are you ready?
Are you ready, sir?
Yes, I am.
You may begin.
Yeah, go
Thank
right
you.
ahead.
So San Francisco Police Department did receive a records request from the complainant. We are currently actively working on the list of information that he has requested. As so much as even today we produced the body worn care.
I need to stop. Stop. Yeah. There's a person speaking, and we'll mute you if you interrupt.
Insulting me.
We will mute you if you interrupt. In fact, Victor, could you just mute Mr. Severnov for now, because we had an interruption here and we don't need that. I apologize to the lieutenant. If you could catch where you were in your statement, and then we could go ahead with it.
Do we want
Certainly.
to go back the tape?
Well, I'll just do an approximate.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lieutenant Toomey, we stopped your taping. Are you ready to begin again?
Oh, okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No worries. In reviewing the public records request, there was an attempt by the police department to try to determine or ascertain what records, based on the request being not vague, but as an example, you can see on request number 5, the presence of SFPD officers, employees, Aguilar at 2151 Grove Street. So we had to make an attempt to determine which types of records would actually have that information or any of that. So that being said, we used the common determination that officer activity out on the street is recorded by our computer-aided dispatch, which is provided by DEM. So we gave the complainant the information on how to obtain information from DEM. There was a request for interactions between the San Francisco Police Department and individuals. That is documented routinely in a police report. So we gave the complainant the information on how to obtain a police report. The complainant did make a number of police report requests. Those still are outstanding based on the fact that police reports, the policy of the police department is that they do need to provide a picture ID, either uploaded into the portal or presented in person. That's so that we can determine is there any information in those police reports that cannot be given to the requester based on exemptions, law, restraining orders. We can't blanketly give police reports out to an unidentified party based on the fact that they are technically a matter of criminal record. And then with regards to body-worn camera footage, which is another document that we do have within our possession, we have presented to the complainant body-worn camera footage up until and have completed our production of it today, actually. I believe that at last count, the number was, I believe, 83 minutes, 11 separate clips of body-worn camera footage. So it's our belief that the only documents that are still outstanding that were requested of the San Francisco Police Department by the complainant were the police reports that require some form of identification so that we can continue to process those requests as a normal course of business.
Lieutenant,
that,
thank you. Your time is up.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you for those clarifications. All right, at this point, there may be questions from the members. And when a member does have a question for Mr. Severnov, we will go ahead and unmute him for the rest of the question answer.
I have a question.
Yes.
And it is for Mr. Severnov.
Okay, let's take him off mute and let him be available.
Mr. Severnov?
Yes.
I have a question.
My last name is Severinov, by the way.
Please pronounce it again.
Severinov.
Severinov.
Yes.
Can you please tell me in your complaint, I'm not your complaint, in your initial media disclosure request to the police department, you cite CAD number 230423118. Is that a reference to a case number that currently exists?
What do you mean
It's
by
like
case number?
Is there like a difference
What
between
kind of
case?
case?
Well,
I-
police report, like a police report or something like that.
Okay. I can tell you how I got that CAD number.
Okay.
I called San Francisco government agencies and requested information on the raid of my house. And I was given that CAD number. That's as simple as this.
Okay. So the reason why I'm asking is because you've had a number of cases regarding this before us, a number of complaints. And there was one going back to 2021 that has a case number ending in case number 48124-21. And I'm just wondering if that's the same case that this CAD report is referring to.
I'm sorry, my English must be very bad for you racists. I said already, and you listen to me. I called San Francisco government about the raid on my house on February 11, 2023. And I was given this CAD number. Nothing more to add to this.
Okay, very good. That's all I wanted to clarify. Thank you. No more questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Member Wolf. Member Stein, any questions for the parties?
I have a question for the respondent, the SFPD. Did you search for any email or other documents, internal communication that referenced this event?
I did make contact with the station to determine if there was anything else that was available. I was advised that there was not.
Do you know if they searched their email?
I made a request to see if there was any documentation or communication. What they did and if they checked their email, their personal officer notes, I just asked them to do a search of their documents. So could I say definitively, I know that every officer checked their email to confirm or deny that they had any of that? I can't speak to that. I can only say that I made a request of the staff at the station and that the response back was that they had no responsive documents.
Okay, and so according, I just want to make sure I'm clear from what you've said, that you say there are no remaining documents except for some videos that you're ready to release.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Our video, we have completed the release of videos. What
Okay.
we still have is police reports that have been requested by the complainant that are, we are awaiting the complainant providing the necessary identification so that we can process those requests.
Okay. I think that was my only question.
Right. I really don't have any questions. I do want to say that with regard to the police reports, I don't exactly know if we would be looking at police reports, because I don't know if we have jurisdiction. I don't know if they're public records, non-public records. There's a lot of different definitions for these things. But since police reports would only be available to Mr. Severinov because this was an incident involving Mr. Severinov, that I do not know if that's something that comes under the CPRA or even under Sunshine in terms of enforcement. But I'll leave that as an open question in my mind, because I know we've also dealt with that same issue with regards to people who are requesting their own personnel files. Similar analysis, I believe. It does look, however, like we want to look at the fact that the request came in the spring, and they have gotten them apparently all the footage, but it looks like it took about 5 months. So there may be members who think that delay is unacceptable. So members, with that initial commentary, any ideas what you want to do with this? Should we advance this for a full task force hearing?
I can make a motion. This is member Sign to send it to the full task force as public records under our jurisdiction to consider if there's been a violation of 67.21, which has to do with timeliness.
Second.
I'm sorry, what was your citation?
67.21.
Okay.
It might be
Public
C
records.
even. Get up.
If there are any members of the public who would like to make public comment on this motion, please raise your hand now. I see no indications of request for public comment at this time.
Second?
Is it a second?
Member Wolf seconded.
Well, second, okay.
And there's no public comment, so we can hold a vote.
Member Stein?
Aye.
Member Stein, aye. Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Chair Schmidt?
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Moved by Member Stein, seconded by Member Wolf. To find that the records are public, there is jurisdiction to forward the matter to the task force with a recommendation for a violation of 6721.
To consider whether there has been a violation of
To consider.
6721, not to immediately recommend it.
Okay, when you're ready, Cheryl. Next number.
Item number 9, announcements, comments, questions, and future agenda items by members of the complaint committee.
I don't think I have anything. I guess we have a full committee, so if there's new people coming in, they'll probably populate other committees, but there may be some changes in those. I understand we got 2 or 3 new people coming in.
2 people.
2 people.
2 people. Saul Sugarman and David Pilpill is returning to us from private practice.
Got it. And we'll see them. I think it's in
They're
about
both aware of the hearing
a week.
in about a week.
Yeah. Got it. Okay.
And they should. I mean, I haven't heard from Mr. Sugarman. It's been a week.
Oh, okay.
So I hope he has all the information I've been sending him.
Sure. All right. Members, anything you want to put in on this number? Otherwise, we'd be ready to adjourn.
Okay.
All right.
Item number 10, adjournment. I have 7:34.
Great. We are adjourned, let's say.
Good night, everyone.
All right. Good night.